Jacob Zuma effectively obliterated opponents in the party, seemingly effortlessly. How did such a weak and compromised leader pull off such a convincing win?
Well, President Jacob Zuma wanted the second term in the ANC, and he made sure that he got it. You know, he had at the beginning a small coterie of supporters, but they worked very hard. The core of his base was in KwaZulu-Natal, and they went to other provinces. They campaigned, and they made sure that in the provinces where he was not necessarily the most popular, he still had a strong presence. So they worked hard compared to the other people who wanted him out. They did very little. You know, it's well known by now that Deputy President believed that he did not have to campaign, and he in fact did not even want to commit to the fact that he was in fact contesting President Zuma. So for a long time people were in the dark, unaware whether he was going to stand or not. So I think President Zuma's victory can be put down to a well-oiled machine, and the fact that he really wanted this thing and he went out of his way to get it.
Now certainly Zuma has a lot of sway in the branches and in the party, but what about the rest of the country? What does the Zuma presidency mean for the ANC's chances at the next general election in 2014?
Okay, there's no doubt for me that if he is in fact their candidate at the 2014 elections, they might not do as well as they expect, you know, because there have been surveys throughout the year and in the past few years which show, in fact, that Deputy President Motlanthe is far more popular with the general public than President Zuma is. I think the ANC is convinced that once the conference is over, everyone will rally around President Zuma. That is why I think you saw some overtures which were made to Deputy President Motlanthe. He was in fact offered the position of the head of political education. The idea was to keep him inside the tent so that going into the elections in 2014, they go there as a solid group.
Now coming back to Zuma's enemies, we've seen him finally come out very strong against Julius Malema. Is Julius' career finally over? Is he ever likely to stage a comeback?
I would say for now, Julius Malema's career is over. It's worse now because the people who were willing to defend him in the leadership of the ANC are now all out. Motlanthe is out, Thandi Modise is out, Matthew Posa is out. I think he must think of the fact that he might come back to the ANC after years, you know, and then even when he does come back, he will not be in a position of leadership. I think he must think of doing other things in his life. He must do business or whatever, but his political career is finished.
Now moving on to policy, the ANC seems to be cozying up to big business while still trying to keep their alliance partners happy. Is this a case of looking left but moving right?
Yes, definitely. It's amazing, and I think for me, that's where you'll have to acknowledge that President Zuma is a really street fighter, you know, because he goes to COSATU, he goes to the SSAP and say, I want you guys to join our structures, to join our leadership. I want you to influence our policies. Yet at the same time, he has no intention whatsoever of moving left. And in fact, for me, this conference cemented the fact that the ANC has become a far more pragmatic organization, and that they're not necessarily stuck in the ideology of the left, which is what they are. That move to the right was cemented by a few things. One, they elected a billionaire, a well-known businessman, to be the deputy president, effectively saying he could possibly be the president in the future, and he could be the president of the country. Secondly, they have firmly rejected nationalization, which has been like a specter that loomed large over the economy for the past 3-4 years. and also the fact that they've embraced the National Development Plan, which was drawn up by Tabane, which is decidedly not a leftist document, also confirms that view for me.
Does this speak to good news for South Africans, the fact that the ANC is taking this pragmatic approach and not being intimidated by organizations like the Youth League into policies that are perhaps unwise?
Yes, this decision means that the leadership of the ANC is aware of the internal dynamics and where people want to drive it, but they've also realized where the rest of the world is, and the fact that to attract investor confidence and get people to invest in the economy, you've got to assure them that there will not be any state grab of their assets, and that the climate should be conducive to good business. Yeah, it is quite a strategic thinking on their part.
Now finally, Rapule, a concerning outcome of this conference was the resignation from the NEC of a few senior leaders like Trevor Manuel. What do you make of the new NEC leaders that were announced last night?
You know, the election of that NEC was one of the more unusual features or outcomes of this conference, because we all knew that Jacob Zuma was going to win, and that his lieutenants were also going to win. But you know, it was totally devastating the way they cleaned out everyone who was opposed to President Zuma. But I think what we have to acknowledge is that this is President Zuma's moment. He's totally in charge, and he's got all of his people behind him, and we've got to know that this is his time, and his opponents will have to work very hard and over a long period of time to be able to mount a successful campaign to dislodge him. But in any case, it will not matter, because he would have served his 2 terms and he would be out anyway.
Well, thank you for that, Rapule. Let's see what the new year holds as the ANC gears up for the next national general election.